Hi, welcome everyone to today's webinar on Shadow SaaS, the hidden costs in your IT environment. I'm glad you could all make some time out of your busy schedules to be here. We're going to keep this nice and sharp today in less than 30 minutes. Please feel free as we go through to put your questions in the chat on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll try to answer them throughout the session and more so at the end of the session if we don't get to them naturally as we progress. So for those that haven't met myself, I'm Nathan Stevens. I look after the solution engineering team here in APAC for Flexera. Been part of this organization now for a little over 9 years. So glad to bring this content to you today. So just to start off with today, we really want to focus in on just that green section, so SaaS management. Now, this is very much part of a broader portfolio of technology, and we're going to cover a number of these in the follow-up webinar series as well. But today, our key focus is on SaaS management, and it's really a hot topic at the moment as we start to drive into a number of those changes in the market. So for those that are not aware, the SaaS management platform Gartner Magic Quadrant has just been released. I don't like to focus too much on the quadrants themselves, but just to highlight to everybody out there, Flexera is serious about this space. We're predicted the convergence of the ITAM and FinOps worlds, and which includes SaaS management as a core discipline within that framework. Now, we are developing and investing heavily within these three key areas for our customers, with the goal to be that system for technology insights to help manage your spend and risk across these three areas. When we start to look at SaaS management as a whole, and then this would be not news to really anyone on this call today, but really what we've seen over the years is an adoption rate of SaaS versus on-premise technologies. And we're heading towards that point that this year, looking at 66% versus creeping up to 68% of spend across SaaS management. And this is not too dissimilar to any of the Gartner, the Forrester, the independent analysis out there. SaaS and cloud-based spend is outweighing that of on-premise, but neither of those are going away either. The challenge often with SaaS management is very unique in that it's often very difficult to manage and see and get that visibility, especially where we have those unknown SaaS products. So the stat here, a third of those SaaS apps actually were from IT. Now, why is that such a big problem? Well, the reality is, and with the customers that we're working with within the market today, is that around 400 to 500 cloud apps are often discovered within their environments. The majority of these are things that they don't know about. So these could be applications that need a paid for license or have a particular risk profile for that organization. So you can imagine here, if you're aware of your typical Microsofts and Adobe's type products, this level of visibility can ensure that you're prepared for what that risk or spend profile will look like in the months to come. Now, part of that analysis as well is $1,000 per user, that USD per employee per, in this case here. If I look at translating that across a 3,000 person company, looking at what the independent analysis says around wasted spend, which is anywhere from about 23 to 25%. And that's from both our own Flexera Priorities report in the 25 edition of that, and also within the Gartner SaaS Management Platform MQ as well this year. That puts a company of the size of about 3,000 people at approximately $750,000 spent in wasted spend just on their SaaS profile alone. Now that can be quite significant. We're talking about who's out there using products on a corporate managed device as well that they do not have a subscription for. They may have signed up for trial licenses or on a personal account. So on those elements of avoidance as well, this is something that we need to factor into this particular challenge. In the Australian demographic as well, we take a look at that through the IT priorities report. It's actually believed that 2 in 5 people believe their SaaS spend is wasted, but even better still is 53% of the respondents believe that it was higher than 21%. So in every demographic, in every market, we believe that we're at least 21% and often significantly higher in that spend. One of the other key reports, the ITAM report, State of ITAM, it's a fantastic report that you should definitely check out. There's 2 key pieces of research here that I wanted to highlight today as well as we move into going deeper into the SaaS management problem. First is, what are your challenges with SAM? And now this is from 506 people, and you can see the section here that I've highlighted is focusing in on that area of dealing with new environments. So SaaS plays a major part of that, so does the cloud and container space. Now, this is where we see at least 49% of people thought it was somewhat of a challenge, and 28% think it is a significant challenge. So 3/4 of people that responded to this survey believe that they had a problem managing the new world, the SaaS, the cloud, the containers. So we need to make that easier for people to grasp and get the visibility of what's out there. The second interesting thing is that those vendors that customers are buying into their enterprise subscriptions for are still auditing customers, and those SaaS only or SaaS specific vendors are on the rise in terms of how they're auditing. Now, we all know that you can never be non-compliant in the cloud for the most part, because you buy your licenses, it's all wasted spend. But we have vendors like ServiceNow and Salesforce increasing their audit frequency, whether it's a soft audit, whether it's a friendly audit, they're increasing their frequency of those audits for SaaS-only environments as well to make sure that you've got the right mix of licenses within the organization, because they are very complex and inherently hard to actually get to a position where you're confident about where you stand. So what are we doing? And I see there's some great questions already coming through here, but from a Flexera perspective, these are the 5 key pillars in terms of where we're headed with SaaS management as part of our strategic direction. So one of the core capabilities here is ensuring that we have multiple discovery paths. We want to ensure we have complementary ways to access that visibility, because we want to ensure that we're closing out all those blind spots within your organization. The other part is around SaaS optimization. So we want to, there's a spend and a cost associated with a large number of these enterprise subscriptions. We want to make sure that we're giving our customers the visibility on how to optimize that spend better. Around rationalization, we're looking for intelligence that we can add into the data that we collect to ensure that you can rationalize applications that are performing a similar function. Now, there's no need to have 5 different project management or task management solutions. So we can highlight those through clever categorization of those SaaS apps that we've discovered. We also want to drive a proactive renewal management strategy. So understand what's coming up for renewal and when, to work on those optimization strategies on right-sizing the spend with those vendors about what you truly need. And lastly, it's all about that security lens. So tracking the unauthorized use. So do we have applications out there that are typically on a deny list that should not be used? So ChatGPT is a classic example of this against the company policy, where it's in a web browser that people can access it, but it's not blocked. So we can highlight the visibility of there's unauthorized use of potential applications that are out there. Now, the key for us and where we focus a little bit more time on today is really driving into that multiple discovery methods. So right now, there's a variation of 8 different ways that we can collect data. And the goal for us is to ensure that these complementary methods add value to that visibility chain. Now, it's no longer enough to connect into an API from Microsoft to understand what you have out there, because those applications are being consumed on a desktop, or they can be consumed within a web browser that may not have those usage metrics on that API. So we can bring in complementary data points from that customer's end user's browser and or their desktop to understand what the true profile of usage is across that particular application. We may also want to complement the existing discovery methods with things that you simply just don't know about. So from a browser extension, through CASB, through single sign-on application discovery, these are the key areas that drive that shadow SaaS discovery. So on single sign-on in particular, it's understanding what we know about, the known knowns. The CASB can get some of those unknown knowns, and then the browser extension can drill into that next level down to get you who's actually logged into that product. And if all of this fails, we can also get data in from any source using universal connectors and data imports or manual creation of subscription and applications. Now, one of the good things about us is it's tried and tested in the market as well. I like to categorize these findings in 2 key areas, and this is our approved applications. And typically, the value realization from these approved apps typically form a scheduled event where we can save a renewal, a true up. So these are our planned savings, typically Microsoft or Adobe. Now I can see here Christchurch City Council, a great customer of ours, implemented SaaS management and were able to avoid $250K in spend, and actually went on to save $150K in their Microsoft licenses. On the right-hand side is where we start to look at those not approved applications. So this is where we drive into our shadow SaaS. So what is our spend or risk avoidance with these applications? In a couple of these customers I've actually worked with personally as well to identify 67 shadow SaaS applications that would have cost them $200,000 if they had to buy them today. Even simple applications like Lucidchart, where everybody signs up for using a corporate machine, there was 39 grand worth of spend that they weren't investing in an enterprise agreement with Lucidchart that they probably should have. So it's the ability to avoid that spend or make a decision to go and spend that and sign up, or rationalize down to something that they should be using. So I want to jump in to the demo. I'm going to switch screens now, get into a live demo and show you what we can do. Okay. Perfect. There we are. All right. So we're working through now what is our demonstration environment. And one of the key things today is we want to take you through shadow SaaS applications and how we can discover those. So what you'll see immediately is that homepage. This gives you an overview of the subscriptions, the costs and renewals when they're due. But what I want to do is I want to drill into the applications. I've found 611 of those, but I want to dive a little bit deeper into those applications. Now, of course, with a live demo, this is bound to happen. So we'll refresh the page. But what I want to focus on here is a couple of those use cases around multiple discovery paths. So if we get it through a browser, through an agent, through an extension, I can get that information into the platform. Let me just cut across here. Here's another one I prepared earlier. So one of the key things for us is going through and looking at the multiple discovery types. So as we mentioned before, is we can have everything from a browser-based, agent-based. I want to understand what I picked up in terms of applications from the API. So this gives me a view of exactly what's been discovered from where. As you can see, we bring a nice profile of that application from those different discovery sources. Now, if I want to dive into specific applications here, one of those key ones is, once again, ChatGPT. I think it's the biggest thing we've spoken about in the last year. So if I go into here, I can see right now I've discovered this through multiple methods. In this particular case, this is a browser verified application. So what this means is we're aware that someone has used the login function and is actively using this product. So if I drill into ChatGPT here, the thing that I can see is that I've got a total number of users, 3,054. What I also do is I have my AI generation here. So what this means is that we're using AI to power the description, the category, and subcategory. This helps us expedite improving that catalog of over 25,000 applications that we track today. If I had no idea what this application was, I could simply go into my description and understand what that product is used for, and it give me an idea about should we still be using this and improving this product within the environment. The categorization then allows me as well to do app rationalization. So straight away, through all the discovery we've done from those multiple sources, I can see here that in my categorization is I found like applications. So in this case, Microsoft Copilot and a couple of variations of that. I know that although ChatGPT is approved, I have no subscriptions for this product. But I do have subscriptions for my Copilot. So I can make an active decision here on, do I go and fund the 3,000 users? Or should I look at either right-sizing, reducing spend in Microsoft Copilot and reinvesting that into ChatGPT? The platform here allows you to make those decisions. The other key area here is when I look at my user list. Because we're discovering through multiple methods, from an agent, from the browser, from API, we consolidate that view of where we picked up a user from and whether or not they're active, last active, and the amount of time they've spent on that product. Straight away, I can see that I've got a list here of a sub-list of those active users, 885 of those. So these are the ones that I may make a decision to actually go through and license those. I can see when they were last active. So I can filter these out to say, only show me the people that were active within the last couple of days. I can filter that to show who's in 10 days and how often they've used that product. So this is our count of total days of total usage time. I can see here there's probably no need to license most of these users because they actually haven't got a usage time of greater than a day. So it gives me a quick way to determine exactly what I need to do. And then also I can see what subscriptions here that I have against this particular product. Now in the case here, I'm not an admin on this particular platform, so I just want to jump over here and show you another example of that. So as I go into my applications, if I look at DocuSign as the next example, right, another classic product where I've been guilty of this myself in the past and using DocuSign and signing up for a rogue account out there. But it might be the approved application within the business. I can then also see, once again, how we categorize that, what other solutions exist. So Adobe Acrobat. Now, the key for us is then looking at the users who are using that, but then also the subscriptions against that. So against here, DocuSign needs one subscription already. But as the SaaS manager, I may want to go through and add additional subscriptions. I may go out and purchase additional licenses to cover the usage there. And I can go through and add that subscription into the platform this way. Now, this is great for any of those subscriptions that I have that sit outside those core subscriptions that I can bring down from the API. And speaking of that API is where I go into my administration and I'm looking at those connectors. So right now, as of today, what you'll see is some of the most common enterprise applications out there have a out-of-the-box connector already. Everything from my Microsoft's Creative Clouds, Monday's, ServiceNow. Now, this API-based subscriptions are the ones that we can bring in subscription-based information for, who they're actually assigned to, and in most cases as well, the usage of those products. Now, we do that in different ways depending on that style of application. Microsoft and Adobe are relatively straightforward. Microsoft provides some level of usage against the API. We complement that with the agent, and we complement that further with the browser extension to build a detailed and rich usage profile. And Creative Cloud, there's only the ability for the Dreamweavers and InDesigns and other products out there to pick that usage up from the agent. So we can complement that level of detail through. One of the other key areas is, as I mentioned within those presentation slides, is really looking at things like single sign-on app discovery. So whether that's through my Microsoft or through my Okta single sign-on application, is I want to know what applications have been picked up through my single sign-on app discovery. These are the things that we've intentionally configured within the organization to use single sign-on, therefore approved within the organization. The next thing is to complement that with the CASB solution, so a Cloud Access Security Broker. In this case here, we support Microsoft Defender for cloud apps today. And what this will do is actually bring in those match of those 25,000 apps that we have enriched into the platform to tell you who's actually using products that may sit outside of your single sign-on app discovery. So this works hand in hand with the browser extension as well to bring a rich profile. Now, the key here as well is there's something that doesn't exist. It's not part of the page that you can see in front of you today, is I can go through and create a connector. So a good example of that is Figma. Figma is one that may not appear on that page today, but if I know that there's an actual API endpoint, I can go through and create that within the product. What I need to do is go through and add the details here. And this may not work for me live. I'll use a different example maybe. One second. But this is a good way to extend what you're using within the platform today. So as the demo gods won't allow me, I won't go through and demo this particular section, but I can go through and go general, put my authentication in, go through and put my API endpoint and bring in details about the users and activity that exists within the platform. This allows me to actually extend my connection into any other product that's out there that has an API endpoint. And for those that don't, we also have the ability to import data into the platform. So some that don't have an API endpoint will also have a spreadsheet that I can import into the platform. And I can use my data imports then to go through and ingest that data into my SaaS management. So when I look back now at my applications, considering everything that I've gone through in terms of my browser-based agent, APIs, my single sign-on, my CASB, there's a lot of different discovery points I can bring into the platform. So one of the key things here is that if I can filter this down into just my CASB products, so my Microsoft Defender is the one that we support today. I can see that I've actually discovered that through Caspi. I've also discovered that through my browser verified capabilities. I know someone's logged into this product. With our integration with Caspi, and especially the data points that are available to us through Microsoft Defender, where that product has actually done their scoring system against that application to give it a risk score and its certification, we'll bring those data points in to help with your SaaS security posture. So drilling into this top one that's here, I have no idea what this application does. So my description allows me to then go through and read that and understand it's an all-in-one business management software. I can see exactly what other products that I have out there. I don't have a subscription for any of these. I know that through my integration with Microsoft Defender, it actually has a healthy risk score of 9, which is green. The lower becomes red and amber. The higher, the better. I can then also drill into the website and privacy policy of that application if I want to investigate further. And finally on this part is around integration with financial systems as well. So when I start to look at Cooper as the one that we support today, I can bring in and understand as well from a purchasing perspective exactly what I've purchased in my finance system, and then bring in those details about the subscriptions that are in that platform to understand, are these shadow SaaS expenditures? Do they need to be consolidated? Do I need to actually go through and purchase an enterprise subscription? A classic example of this is Canva. So how many people out there have gone and registered on Canva who are not purchasing their licenses? I can see that Liam here has been diligent and actually gone through and submitted a purchase expense here for 101. Now this is great, and I can use this data now to then go and create a subscription in the platform and create that subscription. So that's it for the live demonstration part of the platform. I'll just come back over and we handle some of the questions that have come through. So we have a couple of questions here. So for those that are asking for demo via partner portal, if you're on the partner landscape today, please reach out to your partner manager and they can arrange that for you. I'm just going through a list of questions here. So there was a question here around in the chat around it looks quite different, and there's been an announcement on the 31st of July from Flexera. This is the launch of our new Flexera 1 SaaS management platform, which is the combination of our existing SaaS management plays from Flexera and Snow. So I'm more than happy to take you through that in more detail, Ashley. The licensing structure, I recommend reaching out to your account manager, but it is based on the number of qualified users, and we'll share some more details for that. Is a SaaS connector required for each and every SaaS-based application? So no, it's not. We can bring that data through from browser extension. That's the 25,000 apps, which is significant, and they can add your own apps to that as well. So we're not going to get through all the questions that are here today. I think we've answered some in flight. I just want to put this out there at the end. This was a short and sharp session today, but please feel free to reach out to me directly. I've set up a booking link here so you can book some time with me. More than happy to connect, take you through the platform, and as well show you some demos and answer your very specific questions as well. So appreciate everyone's time today and looking forward to connect. And we will send out a recording of this session today as a follow-up to for those that couldn't make it as well. So thank you very much.